Aloha, how are we doing? I was just looking momentarily confused. Well, to be honest, it's how I spend most of my life. Because the Instagram said add a title. I was like, I put a title in. Maybe it got deleted somehow. Anyway, hashtag replay if you're on the replay. If you're on live with me, let me know. Pop your name in the comments. And tonight we're going to discuss how to top up your protein intake and also cover a little bit around why I don't use supplements for intake. And just share a bit of knowledge on that too. But here we go, get them going on the Instagrams. How has your week been? Mine has been one of technical challenges, so I went live on here last night. Didn't go live on Instagram last night because the iPhone 5, I think that's the latest one, just would not work. A little bit of research today, not me, my husband, and it turns out that the newest iPhone, there's lots of people complaining that the Wi-Fi never works and the signal's really poor. So it's not just my technical abilities. So that was a bit of a win, knowing it's not just me, it is the actual device. Now, a guy was like, so what does that mean? Will they do like a software update to fix it? I was like, I don't know. I was just delighted that I kind of got confirmation that it's not just my technical skills. It's the iPhone 5. It's a bit crap. So the typical that when I decided to get an iPhone, the latest model isn't that great for Wi-Fi. Because I was like, people say Apple's the best, and I'm like, I have nothing but issues with my Apple phone. Laptop cool, phone pain in the bum. But yeah, that's how it is, right? How you doing, Jackie? And I have to say, I am over this coldness. I'm having a rant tonight over this coldness. I've got a hoodie on. I've just been turned the heating on. I'm like, guys, like it's June, right? I'm not saying like totally warm, but just so we're not having to put the heating on and hoodie, right? So it's not great, not great. But hey, anyway, let's get into it because one of the things we can do to help ourselves with heat and warmth, bit of muscle on, right? All right. So let's get into how to top up your protein intake. And I wanted to share this because the other day I shared a post about how to calculate how much protein you should be having roughly. With all these numbers, what I would say is individual to you, your body, your activity levels, and also your body digests differently. So what my body digests, how it breaks down and absorbs is different to say Jackie's body. So we're all individual and we don't absorb everything we eat. So that's where these numbers are kind of like a ballpark range. They're not like spot on. We don't have that level of accuracy as much as we'd like to think we do. The truth is we don't. So whenever you calculate these things, it's not going to be 100% to the T because you don't necessarily absorb all that. Now, there are a few things out there around like, oh, protein, if you eat too much protein, it's bad for your kidneys, all the rest of it. And it's not the case. Unless you've been medically told that by a doctor, by a physician, then that's not the case. But people tend to get told that in relation to maybe high blood pressure, kidney function. But the truth be told is it's not really a factor. And I often find that people who have valid challenges or questions around protein. It's like they question these things, and it's like, well, what about that thing you're having? So, for example, oh, eggs, are they healthy for you? I'm sure there's something about they're not good for like high cholesterol. And it's like, eggs are going to help you with protein. There's lots of nutrients in the eggs. Maybe you don't want to have as much wine or whiskey or whatever that thing may be. So we tend to think that we question the things that are kind of good for us healthy-wise, but we don't question the things that aren't so good for us. So yeah, just think about your reasoning behind your questions or your doubts. But basically around protein, we need it. As I always speak about, it's a building blocks of our body, helps build muscle, it helps our body repair. So it's really about repairing your body for me. That's the whole thing around protein. I'm obviously not a bikini model. I'm not into that kind of the big muscle piece. I'm more around muscle for health, muscle for strength, mobility, so I can, dig up the big rocks in my garden, lift my own suitcase, rather than being for aesthetics reasons. And that's the reason that I have protein, is to look after my body, to help it heal and repair after training, after day-to-day stuff, and so I can do all the things I want to do. So then we get on to, well, how much. So this is a bespoke calculation that I do for clients, but I give you in my post a calculation you can do roughly around it. And it's like, well, how do you get that much in? Because a lot of people get kind of daunted by the fact, look, now the sun's going to come out. A lot of people get daunted by the fact. Me feel like I'm somewhere tropical with a beautiful sunset happening, but it's Baltic. Anyway, I digress. So yeah, a lot of people get overwhelmed by how much protein, and this is where in all the gyms you'll have like protein shakes, protein bars everywhere, and now everything's got on it market-wise, high protein, high protein, high protein. So there's a lot of ways that you can increase your protein intake. For me personally, I don't use the protein shakes. I used to. I used to, when I was doing like group fitness, at 7 a.m. because I was getting up at 5 in the morning, traveling to the gym, and my first class would be at 7 a.m. So I didn't really have a chance to have a proper breakfast. And I didn't really want to have a proper breakfast when I was doing high intensity training at 7 in the morning. So that's where protein shakes were kind of thing for me. But I was like, I don't enjoy these. I end up knocking them back because they're disgusting. And also, I just felt like I was replacing food, actual food, with protein shakes. So instead of actually having food that you could use your teeth with, half the time I was just knocking back these protein shakes because that's what was working for my schedule. And I kind of felt like I didn't really want to be using all these powdered things. Yes, there's always elements of processing, and they're safe and all that jazz. But I wanted to get back to whole food nutrition. And that's why many years ago now, I kind of ditched the protein shakes. I also found a lot of companies change from whey protein to pea protein. And for me, pea protein doesn't agree with my digestive system at all. So I switched the two out. Okay, you're going to have to hold on while I block the sun out. Okay, I'm going to block the sun out. 2 seconds. So yeah, I found it didn't really agree with me. And they've done that for a number of reasons. For one, the vegan side of things. So I found that I could tolerate pea protein for certain degrees, certain amount, and then after that, it just didn't agree with my digestive system whatsoever. So I just basically stopped using the protein powders because I didn't feel like, say, I was getting all the nutrients of whole foods, because obviously when you're eating whole foods, you get loads of different nutrients in there. Like almonds, for example, yes, they're a source of protein, but there's also other nutrients and good fats in there. Things like cottage cheese, again, yes, it's got protein, but it's got other nutrients. Things like salmon too. So I just felt with protein powder, you were getting kind of a one-dimensional nutrient. I know you can get ones now that have got vitamins chucked in and this and that and all the rest of it. But for me, it was a personal choice to go back to kind of that whole natural food opposed to man-made processing of like protein powders. So that's for me personally why I don't use supplements for protein. Okay, so let's get into it. So how do you boost your protein intake? So I mentioned to you about the calculation you can do around your protein. What I would say about the how much, like you may do the calculation if you want to, but I'm also going to give you some key tips around how to do it without the calculation. So if you're like, oh, I don't want to calculate how many kilos for body weight, it's all a bit complicated and then to track it. Then what I'd say, one of the big indicators around am I having enough protein is really about how full are you after your meals. How full are you mid-morning, mid-afternoon? Do you find yourself snacking a lot? When you have your dinner in the evening, do you find yourself snacking afterwards? For me, that's a key indicator in terms of, have you got enough protein in your diet? Because your body will look for food and look for sources when it's missing things. So it's quite intuitive that way. It will know. So the key is about getting the protein in the morning to help stay off snacking, mid-morning, and then later on in the evening. And what I'd say about a portion of protein is basically the palm of your hand. You don't want to go for the palm of the hand. So if you're going to go by palm measurements, go for the palm of your hand. And if you're still like, I'm not too sure, how can I top it up? It's really hard. Well, I mentioned eggs. So if you're having eggs in the morning, I typically have 3 eggs, which contain anything, obviously it's rough, kind of like 6 to 9 grams of protein in each egg. Depends on the size of the egg, how it's, I was going to say produced, but there is a bit of that because they're now putting things like marigold and chicken feed to make the yolks more orangey, and depending on which country you live in too. So, with eggs, they're basically a powerhouse for protein. They're really versatile. You can have your omelets, your pancakes, a load of veggies in there as well. So you can really play around with eggs. But one thing I don't like about eggs is having cold eggs. Oh, not for me. So then you want to look at other things. So eggs is obviously a key example. Chicken, you guys know I live off chicken. Again, you're looking at around 31 grams of chicken protein in chicken. And what you can do with the chicken is cut it up beforehand, cook it, and then just cut it up so you've got it ready to go as a snack. If you think a lot of these products like refrigerators, they say they're chicken breasts, but they're still a bit processed. Just cook your own chicken breast at home, cut it up into strips, have it in the fridge, ready to go as a ready-to-go snack. And there's nothing added in there. So you're cooking it yourself and you know what's in it. So you can make it as healthy, or you can add sauce, some chipotle or something to it. But it's going to be a healthier source of protein, and you're going to get a good kind of like 31 grams of protein in there, again, depending on the size of chicken breasts. And then if you're like, well, what about yogurt? Well, Greek yogurt, again, is going to have around 20 grams. And with Greek yogurt, you can add your own fruits, nuts, honey. And like I say, depending on the yogurt, you can get around 20 grams of protein. And some of them have added protein now. Now, again, with the added protein yogurts, I would just be careful about like what else is in there. So for me, I don't like to have aspartame. I know people are like, oh, aspartame, there's not proof. It's a natural amino acids. There's no proof there that it's bad for you. Don't freak out about it. It's a personal choice. I prefer not to have it, mainly because I don't like the taste of it. I find it dead really artificially sweet. So I'm not a fan of these sweeteners. And that's one of the struggles with yogurts these days, is they've got loads of stuff in them to make them sweeter. So you come back and eat more. So yeah, just see what's happening. Find a yogurt that you like. You do get one with added protein, but again, it can be another easy go-to way of getting proteins in. And then, as I said, you can just chuck some nuts in there, like almonds again, 6 grams per ounce. And then if we're talking about more of this kind of savoury things, I'm a fan of crisps. I love crisps, but I don't have them in the house, or I eat them all. Something else you can do is take chickpeas and roast them. Roast them in the oven. You can put some natural spices on them, cumin. I can't remember what else to put on them. Cumin, turmeric, and something else. And you can just roast them. And there's about 1 cup. It's be about 15 grams of protein for 1 cup of chickpeas. So again, it's another way to get a savoury snack, but also get your protein in. And we know salmon's always a good one. I'm personally not a fan of salmon, but salmon has around 25 grams of protein. But a really good example of how you can get other nutrients, so you like your omegas as well as your protein. And then we've got things like cottage cheese. Now, cottage cheese is always a debate. Always a debate. Some people love it, some people hate it. But cottage cheese is also really good in terms of getting like half a cup, about 14 grams of protein. A good one for getting protein in, but it is a bit of a divisive one, cottage cheese. Some people love it, some people are like, no way, textural thing. And then talking of textural, then there's obviously tofu for plant-based diets, about 10 grams of protein in that. And tofu is quite versatile because it soaks up flavors. You can fry it, you can use it in soups. One grain that I like a lot is quinoa or quinoa, depending on how you pronounce it. I pronounce it quinoa. Quinoa is something I really like because it's different from pasta, and I really enjoy it. And you get 8 grams of protein. So I just find if I've got chicken, rather than having, say, rice or pasta, bit of quinoa in there. It's got like 9 different amino acids in it. So again, more nutrition. You can use it in salads, bowls, and chicken. And like I say, often I'll use it as a substitute for like a wrap. I'll have it with my fajita bowl, if you like, with quinoa and my chicken. And then lentils as well, of course. If you're Scottish, lentil soup's a big thing in Scotland. So we have that in our lentil soup. And again, depending, you get like the green lentils. You get the packets of lentils as well. Got some information, a reel coming up on that soon. And 1 cup of that is about 18 grams of protein. So there's lots of different ones there. But if you're looking for protein intake on the go, then I'd say if you can, cold eggs, not for me personally. And I remember working in the office with someone who used to often have to have cold eggs in the afternoon and munch on them. Quite unaware, but that waft across the desk was not pleasant. So eggs are one of them. If you want to be like me and avoid that situation, then Greek yogurt with nuts in it is a great one. Chicken breast, like I say, just chopping up, or the chicken sausage, the heck, chicken sausages are also a good one to cook them off and then just chop them up. And then I would say other things on the go. Some people like cottage cheese on the go. Depends on where you're at and what your taste buds are like. So yeah, that's how you can boost your protein intake. So there's lots of different options there food-wise, but also in terms of what you can throw in lunch, that'll make a difference. So if you're having salmon, say a salmon salad, then you can just chuck some lentils in there, some chickpeas on top. In the morning, if you're having your omelette, then just go for 3 eggs opposed to 2. One will fill you up a bit better and you'll get that extra protein too. And so that's what's touched on. If you are getting hungry mid-morning, I say have you had your coffee before you've eaten your food, and it's maybe switched off your hunger cues so you're not eating as much breakfast as you maybe would have. That's one thing to consider. And as a result, you get hungry later on mid-morning because you're not eating as much food. And then it's going, right, what happened mid-afternoon? Did I get hungry again? Then maybe that you just need like a protein ball or something. And then in the evening, if I had my dinner, was I satisfied with my dinner? If not, looking back across your day, what have I eaten? Did I have my protein for lunch? What did it look like for breakfast? And just track back your day and your patterns, your habits, and you'll be able to spot, I didn't really have enough protein then, or I thought I did. I recently had a call with a client, and they were just starting to work with me, and I was like, are you vegetarian or vegan? And they're like, no, why? Because there was basically like 0 protein going on in their diet. And I was like, that's why you're hungry all the time, because you're not eating enough and you're not having enough protein. So really, in terms of the cues of if you're worried about how much should I be eating, how hungry are you being? What's your snacking like? they're key factors in it. So if you don't want to calculate it, you don't want to monitor it, you don't want to check it, PAM measurement in terms of how much protein per meal, and then also go by your hunger cues, and that is a really great indicator of it. All right, team, that is how to top up your protein intake. And if you want that written out, go check out my post. I done a post on it today. You can see it, and everything I just covered off with you is there in a little more depth. So go check it out if you prefer written, because you're like, Julie's just throwing us all this stuff at us. So the basics around the contents in each of those items is there. The extra stuff I've discussed, just hashtag on the replay. All right, team, take care. Have a good weekend. We'll catch you Monday.